Hey everybody, welcome to Santa Barbara Talks with Josh Molina. Please hit subscribe on YouTube and also consider making a contribution by visiting www.santabarbaratalks.com. I do these podcasts all on my own, separate from all the other work that I do in the community. So please, if you like these podcasts and the content that I provide, please consider a financial contribution to allow me to continue to grow and expand my production and my audience. Okay, I want to talk to you today about what is going on in Montecito on the Hot Springs Trail. I love writing about Montecito because there's so much engagement in that community, and that community cares so much about what is going on, whether it's development at the Miramar, whether it's Oprah Winfrey and a fence and a wall being built next to a creek. It's just fascinating every time I drop in and write a story. But I want to talk to you today about this chaotic situation going on with the Hot Springs Trail and the bathing pools at the top of the trail. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that I am not going to take a side on who's right or who's wrong. I do have to continue to cover this, but I do want to provide some context and analysis. And please read my story on newshawk.com, where I talk to a bunch of people, I outline the whole scenario and what's going on in detail. So please check that out. That story is getting a ton of reads, lots of engagement, and that'll provide the full picture of what we know. But I want to just kind of outline this situation because we need to be talking about it. There is a clear question here that needs to be answered, regardless of where you stand. So we're talking litigation, we're talking threatening letters, we're talking threats of citations. That's just what the county of Santa Barbara has been doing to the homeowners. The homeowners have put boulders, they've put other items in the public right of way, not to be like bad people, but to stop people from parking in front of their homes, near their driveways, and then walking to the Hot Springs Trail. I think a lot of people would feel that way no matter where you live, if there was a lot of traffic and it was obstructing your way of life. And so they did that. The county sues them. The county eventually wins through an appeals court. And now the homeowners are working with the county, or the county's working with the homeowners to try to find parking spaces here and there. What is the issue? The Hot Springs Trail has these pools, these hot springs, these bathing pools. And I want to make the distinction right now that the hot springs are natural, okay, that they are there. But what people are concerned about, what they're upset about, is that over the years, individuals have been creating these pools through the use of boulders and rocks so people could sit in there and enjoy the warm water. Okay, so that part of it is not natural. The hot springs are natural, but the fact that these pools, where they've been created with rocks to create like a circle for people to sit in and enjoy themselves, that is what the dispute is. That is what the debate is. And we've had these hot springs for a number of years. But what's different is that during the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, we all remember everybody was locked up. I don't even, what was it like? You couldn't come within 6 feet of people or something unless they were in your household, something ridiculous like that. Well, so many people were trying to get outdoors because that was sort of the only way that they could interact with people that were not in their household. So they chose recreation and they started to hike a lot more, do more outdoor recreation. Well, the Hot Springs Trail became this destination during the COVID pandemic, not just for locals, but for people throughout California, United States, throughout the world. And we live in this age of social media. We've been living in it for several years now. People go and they're happy, they're having a good time, they're celebrating, and then they share this on TikTok, on Instagram, social media platforms, goes viral, and then all of a sudden people start coming from all over the place, and it's like exponentially people are checking out these Montecito hot springs. Okay. And that sounds like cool, right? Like Santa Barbara, Montecito has another attraction, another reason for people to come visit here. But there's a challenge, there's a problem. This hiking trail is in Montecito. And if you've driven through Montecito, if you live in Montecito, there's no sidewalks in a lot of places. And so people just park wherever they can in order to get as close as possible to the trailhead. There are 8 legitimate parking spaces that the county provides at the trailhead. Those are full right now. I don't even need to be there. I could be in my podcast studio and know that those spaces are full 7 days a week, constantly. So people figure out a way to park. I mean, we've all been hiking, especially in Santa Barbara. There aren't a lot of places to park. What do? Whether it's Rattlesnake Canyon or any other trail, you find a little spot and then you walk to the trailhead. Okay. This, however, this hot springs is hugely popular. So you have not just locals going for an afternoon hike or a morning hike, I should say. You've got people who are camping up there. You've got people bringing lumber and starting little bonfires out there. You have, of course, people who are drinking out there. And, there are probably, I mean, I know there are people doing lots of things that are illegal out there, and it's nature. Okay. So they're trying to get away. For a lot of them, it's not their community. It's just this destination place. And so they look around and, oh, it's like rich people of Montecito. And, unfortunately, people have a lot of that bias, right? They're like, oh, well, oh, these rich people complain about people coming into their neighborhood. And so they think that almost empowers them to do more unruly things. But regardless of where you live, I don't think anybody would want a whole deluge of people coming every day, 100 people, and crowding your neighborhood. I mean, we care about our neighborhoods no matter where we live. I mean, this is true all over, whether you live on the east side, the west side, near downtown Santa Barbara. This concept, this idea that you can't enjoy where you live because people are coming in and taking up all of the parking spaces and leaving, that's not a complaint that's unique to rich people of Montecito. That has nothing to do with your income demographic. That's a very normal thing, a normal reaction. But they're saying that they are not like complaining just about parking. They're complaining about the behavior that happens from the people who park along these streets. And they say that some of the people will dump trash in their backyards along the hiking trail. And if they park near their driveways, they say they can't see, their visibility, their line of sight is obstructed. And so they can't back in and out, and they're worried. It's a serious issue, regardless of your zip code. Okay. So this all came to a head over Memorial Day weekend because there is a group of people, a small group, and there's one person, I guess, in particular, who goes up there and restores the pools, make sure that they are able for people to go inside and enjoy. Often they're damaged by weather events, heavy rainstorms. I guess some people go in there and destroy them, take them down themselves. But in order to have a pool, you need to get all those rocks out of there. And then you need to create a dam, a barrier, so that the water will stay in the pool. So there's an individual, with some help, some individuals who are consistently making sure that these pools are available to the community. And so recently, over Memorial Day weekend, on a misty morning, according to the video, there was an altercation. There were people walking, hiking, and of course the video is kind of jumpy, jump cut, not cuts, but just it's kind of all over the place. But it shows an interaction between the people who support the pools and then some people who don't support the pools. And each of them are arguing against each other, saying, do you have a permit to do this? Well, do you have a permit to remove them? Okay. And so it turns into this, I don't want to say ugly, but this very sort of intense situation where expletives are hurled. One side accuses the other side of going in there and destroying and demolishing the pools. The other side says the pools are natural, but the hot springs are natural, but the pools are not, and you don't have a permit. And she accuses him of a felony, and then he accuses her back, and then it turns the camera on her, and she kind of swats at the camera, and then turns away, and it's just like this really unfortunate situation. And you talk to these people, they all have their own perspectives, they have their own specific point of views. Obviously, they're trying to protect their own point of view on this issue, regardless of like what you think, who's right or who's wrong, who should be doing this or who shouldn't be doing this. It is a very clear question that needs to be answered. Are these pools allowed? Are they legal? Because if you talk to the regulatory agencies, if you talk to the U.S. Forest Service and Los Padres National Forest, they say they have sort of a don't ask, don't tell policy. They say we are not permitting any pools on the Hot Springs Trail. But then they're also saying we're not removing any pools on the Hot Springs Trail. So this sends a very inconsistent message to everyone involved. It creates a scenario where these individuals who are creating these pools, and they have an ownership of them. It's something in nature that they think is an attraction to people to come, and it makes them happy. They enjoy this. It's a way for them to enjoy outdoor recreation. And so those people have to kind of like sneak around in order to make them happy, in order to build these things. And so is it legal? Is it not? It's apparently not legal because you're not allowed to go dam waterways in outdoor areas because you're potentially interfering with the natural flow, steelhead trout, fish passage. I mean, these are things that seem kind of obvious that you should not be doing these things. However, if you're using rocks and boulders and no concrete and it's nothing permanent and you're just like arranging these rocks in a certain way, does that qualify as a dam? Does that qualify as something that is illegal? Well, people are going to debate that forever, but these regulatory agencies need to make it clear what is going on, because right now what is happening is their lack of action to make these things clear is causing these arguments and these fights. It's exacerbating the situation, and it is pitting these Montecito homeowners against these outdoor trail enthusiasts. And no matter side you're on or who you think is right or wrong, I think that it's fair for people to want clarity. Like, is it okay to have these pools? Is it not? If it's okay to have these pools, issue a permit and make it something where everyone has some contribution to it, some shared ownership. That is something that I think people want to know if that's allowed. And then there's other people who are saying, absolutely not. We should not be creating these artificial pools for people from all over Europe to come over here and use as this travel destination and park in our neighborhoods and totally disregard this community. We know Montecito is full of wealth, and we know there are a ton of celebrities. Oprah Winfrey, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Katy Perry, you go on and on and on. We know that, but that's not all of Montecito. There are like layers of Montecito. So I don't think you can, like, it doesn't even matter people's wealth or their demographic, but these people who are coming in, I don't think they should be assuming that just because they live in these multi-million dollar homes, that they therefore deserve to have their neighborhood and their community mistreated. And there's different levels of wealth in Montecito as well. So it's this very unfortunate situation. How are people going to be able to move forward here without this getting worse? The county has been on the side of creating more legal parking spaces, essentially to facilitate more people to go up to the hot springs, while at the same time taking a blind eye to the pools. it's not their jurisdiction. The parking is, but the pools are not. So they're sort of a layer removed from that. Okay. The Fish and Wildlife, right? They sort of have this in between state as well. They're sort of saying the same thing the Forest Service is. No one is taking any direct action to bring clarity to this situation. Now, the homeowners, many of them, big surprise here, are upset with the first district Santa Barbara County Supervisor, Doss Williams, because he has been a proponent of creating more parking spaces for people to access the trail. Yes, that's right. Mr. Vehicle Miles Traveled wants to create more vehicle parking spaces so that people can park in the neighborhoods and access the trail. So they have been historically very upset with him. And of course, we know that he was not reelected, and they are already, they have a big meeting set up on Saturday at Cold Spring School at 10 a.m. to talk with Roy Lee, who's the supervisor elect. They want to meet with him because they are looking for some kind of representation. All right. So that's part of it. But at the same time, Williams now, after the election, has decided to sign a letter that says these pools should be removed, and he supports this native restoration of the habitat permit effort. So the homeowners are feeling like, why is this? There's inconsistent messages coming from that office, and they're very upset because they think it's transparent. They say, before you were for this, and now you're for this, and maybe you're trying to lobby for a future position, and it's a mess, regardless of what you think of the situation. If you're a homeowner, all you are getting is blurry, fuzzy, inconsistent, indirect, sometimes counter information from the county, the supervisor's office, Fish and Wildlife, the U.S. Forest Service, all of these agencies that are supposed to be bringing some clarity to this situation. Okay. So that's a very frustrating situation. Now, if you're one of these people who makes the argument of it's outdoor, it's trails, everybody deserves access, and homeowners should not be able to block people from being able to access this trail. Obviously, that's like basic, right? Like, this is Santa Barbara. Like, everyone agrees with that. But then the county needs to decide, are they going to facilitate people to go up to the hot springs and do things that create massive impacts in the jurisdiction that they regulate? Because that's essentially what is happening. One of the homeowners said that they had their garage stolen of like $10,000 worth of stuff. Can you blame the trail on that? I don't know, but their perception is that there's people coming in and they're like then staking out and not staking out, but like, yeah, they kind of like monitoring the neighborhood, finding when people are home and stealing things. And that's a peripheral problem with what is going on. So how do we resolve this situation? We need to remove the biases. Okay. There needs to be like we need to get rid of the bias of the wealthy, affluent Montecito people. So therefore they should just be able to put up with all the parking in their neighborhood. That's not a logical attitude we would have for any other community group. So like, we have to make decisions based on the greater good and what's correct, not based off of how wealthy the people who are, not based on how wealthy the impacted people are. That is just wrong. Okay. And if you're a trails person, I've been up to the hot springs. They're great, right? Well, they kind of stinky actually. Like, they look great, they're beautiful, the water's nice, but like, I don't know, sometimes that sulfur smell is just too much for me. But whatever, they're cool, right? They're nice. It's like after a long hike, you get to hang out there and get some outdoor, get some sun on your skin. It's like, it's kind of cool, right? So yes, but the question is, are those pools allowed? Are they legal? And if they're going to be legal, and if we're going to facilitate them, then let's let everybody have some input on that process and not let it be just one person or a couple of people's little thing they do on the side, because the pools are cool. It is nice for people to have those opportunities. But when you have a hiking trail right next to a residential area, this is what we look for government to do, like help facilitate a solution. There's a clash there. There's a clash in use. And how do you accommodate the most amount of people? How do you facilitate outdoor recreation and outdoor hiking and people enjoying nature, which is absolutely wonderful? But how do you do it in a way where you're not hurting the residents and the neighbors? They talk about a fire, right? And I know some people might say, oh, that's just like extreme talk. Well, not in Santa Barbara. We have fires every couple of years that are absolutely devastating. And we've had some good rain. So maybe we forget a little bit about the incredible threat that fire presents to our area. But if people are like camping up there and cooking and having fires up in the wilderness, like we don't want a situation where it takes something horrible like that to get a handle on what is going on. So it's up to you, government, regulators, working with the community to figure out a way, obviously, to continue to allow recreation, but also respect the neighbors and not make it a, well, you just don't want people parking on your streets. They don't control the county government. They're not the ones who decided to not build sidewalks out there. Like the county government is in charge. Is there a place for the county to offer a shuttle service? These hikers can park somewhere and then take a shuttle up to the trail. And it's, that's like a couple of cars going up there and dropping off people a couple times a day or a couple times an hour. Like that's much better than having what we have right now. So please check out this story at newshawk.com. It's only going to continue. And I just think that this situation, no matter where you stand on this issue, it's very unfortunate. It's very sad, the situation that we are in. And somebody needs to come forward with not a political decision or a maneuver or a strategic effort to try to pacify some people now, and instead come forward with a legitimate, concrete, real solution for how to move this forward. I don't think there are any villains here, at least as far as the people involved, the non-government people. I don't think there are any villains. I think there are people who want things, and these things clash and they collide. And the government, the supervisors, have failed to resolve the situation, because anytime it ends up in litigation, it's a failure. And now it's ending up in verbal altercations on the hiking trail with people feeling threatened now that they can't go on the trail without getting accosted on both sides. So there needs to be some solution. I'll keep writing about it, reporting on it, covering it. Thanks a lot for your time. I really appreciate it. If you support these podcasts, please hit subscribe on YouTube and visit www. Do I even need to say that anymore? No. Visit SantaBarbaraTalks.com. Consider making a financial contribution. I'm Josh Molina. Have a great day. Thank you.